So for this one, how do I get started? What you did was you drew one eye, and then you drew the other eye, and then you drew a nose, and then you drew a mouth, and then you wanted to portray a naive look. So you lifted the eyebrows, but also kept sort of an innocent quiver to the lips. This is okay because you know what you want. But in art, if you really want to go far and you want to break your limits, you want to break the walls around you and actually go far in art, it's not just a matter of making the mistake, it's making the mistake and knowing that you made the mistake and knowing how to fix the mistake. So let me show you the mistakes that I feel like you made. The first mistake that you made is you didn't draw the head shape first. You're really good at drawing eyes, there's no question about that. Nose is really good. Lips could use a little bit of work just on the sides, but the top lip is just perfect. But what I would recommend is drawing the head shape first. What does that do for us? That helps you know where to put hair without it looking awkward. So at the moment where you put hair now, there is sort of an unnatural way it sits on the head. So something like very jagged, very broken. But you want a very realistic feeling to it. Something that drew the lips first. Okay, something that feels more natural when you look at it. People can relate to it and say it's real. That's what realism does for us. It validates the character's existence. So the first thing that you're supposed to do, Ellen, is draw the shape of the head. That's the first thing. And then out of the shape of the head, sort of find the shape of the neck, and then the shoulders. Or if it is an androgynous character, we would have more slender shoulders that fall lower, not so high, and a lot more slender. I tend to make my shoulders too manly. Okay, and then the ears is what I would recommend. Head first. Head, neck, and ears and shoulders first. Okay, Ellen? Next time, please attempt that. And next thing I would fix is the lower lip. If you want to make it look like they're sort of bending their lip and biting it. Do you see how they still look like they're biting? Even though you don't have the bend of the lips. That's something you only see in color. You don't see it in lines. This is the lesson number 1 sort of for today for you, Ellen. There are some things that you can portray in color that you can't portray in lines. What did I just say, Ellen? So you're trying to make the lips seem like they're bit and sort of part of the lips is going up, but all that achieved is creating an awkward looking lip. Why? Because you can't represent these things through lines. Color only is how you represent them. So when you do end up coloring the lips, try to give a little bit of a bend here. But the only thing that you can use the lines for is actual dark areas. So what you can do is add in a sort of, actually not that intensely. Add in with a sort of gray, a sort of bend here to show that they are biting their lips. Okay? Next thing is, the nose is fine. I like the nose. It matches the style. The next thing is sort of the eyebrows. The eyebrows are sort of moving away from their geographical, let's say, positioning. So what you would get is actually merge down. God, it's been a long weekend. You would get something that looks very awkward. But you can still create that same innocent, naive look without pushing the eyebrows so far above their natural, realistic place on the face. Okay? So that's part 1, and then sort of thin out the eyebrows near the top. Because those things can be replaced with what? Color. Color can help you with those. You can do it in value, but I'm not sure if you want to contour that much. Okay, and then after that, and the reason why I dyed everything down to a gray is because when you do place the blacks, place them in places that really assist you. And if it is an androgynous sort of male character, at this point the only thing that separates you from it being a male is the eye. So the eye is really what confuses people. Eyes and lips, I think. Nose can be feminine for male and female, but the eyes can really help. Because basically with transvestites or all those pinup, I don't know what they're called, drag queens or something like that. No offense to them at all, but the thing they focus on the most in their makeup is their eyes. So when you want to create someone who looks like they're a girl as well as a boy at the same time, you have to know which parts you want to make the feminine, which parts you want to make masculine. So what you do is you understand that the cheekbones are masculine if male came first. So you could replace it with cheekbones here and make the cheekbones higher. If it was female turning male, then obviously you would masculinate the eyes. So eyes don't have this beautiful distance between the socket line and the upper lid. Do you see how there's a lid and there's a lot of space, and then this is very feminine, but with masculine characters this doesn't exist. Also the makeup on the bottom and the makeup on the top. Bless you. That was my brother's hurricane sneeze. And then same thing with the other eye. And the more makeup-like lines that represent the eyes that you use, the more feminine it will look. And that's basically how you confuse them. And if you want them to look masculine, I suggest you get a brush like this. Lines aren't going to help you if you really want to benefit. Get a brush and sort of thicken the eyebrows and make them more masculine so they don't have much of an arch. They just have a very basic, leave the femininity to the eyes. Okay, Ellen? And the eyebrows are the only place where you can actually make it look like it's a man, because if you do everything feminine, it's just going to look like a woman and then people are going to get confused. What you want is that sort of, it's not really anime, but it happens in anime, that sort of anime-like confusion when someone looks so... Because all anime males look like women, whether they are not intended to be women, whether or not they're intended to be women. Okay? Pencil and airbrush. No, you really should expand your brushes. You really should expand your brushes. And then, like I said before, if you want to use the black in very strategic places that will assist you in the androgynous sort of field. Nostrils and lip corners. Good job on the lips though, very good job on the top lip. And there you have a sort of, and if he is biting his lips, then there would be more teeth showing. Here you had less teeth showing. And then you could show a little bend where the teeth, you really should get Photoshop. Psy is I don't know. I really can't teach you much about Psy because I don't use it. But Photoshop will help you because it has a range of textures, a range of brush manipulations that can really help you. And then do you see this eyeshadow I placed here on the sides, Ellen? This also will help create that androgynous look. Okay? And then after that, after you have the head shape and you sort of have that that sort of masculinity / femininity, you can really start playing with the way the nose adds or takes away from the femininity. So if I would recommend you give a very muscular nose, meaning something very manly, something very boyish, where you can tell that the muscle structure underneath, the bone structure underneath is very masculine. That way you have that sort of confusion. But it's okay. Why? Because women also can get masculine-like noses. Do you see how he still looks innocent? But he has that sort of sort of like a, I don't know how to say it without sounding bad, like a sort of mischievous quality to him, which I think is what you want, Ellen. Unless you're on version. Blocked by the UK, Pirate Bay. Yeah, be careful with that, you guys. I know that in Denmark or something, if you're on that site, police will show up in front of your house or something. And then, I know you did it, Ellen, but I recommend that you bring the tone down even lower, so that when you do use colors like lighter whites here, you can really place them in places that really can help bring out form. Do you see how much space you have now to make the eyes look more alive, to use some white? Because before there was white everywhere, I'd have to go really white and then it would look too bright. And this is all stuff that I've taught you, everything that I'm doing right now, the whites that I'm placing everywhere on the face. I've taught you where to put them. And then get your burn tool and place the burn tool in all the areas where we put the shadow before. Okay? And so here on the eyebrow. And now you have something that looks, I mean, wouldn't you hire someone for this, Ellen? Now, if you could hire someone for this to do it for you, a commission, and then use up your money, why not just learn how to do it yourself? Okay, and then a little bit on the chin, and voila, you have a face. Let's do it before and after, just so we can see how much we achieved by 1, decreasing the amount of lightness, we decreased it down to gray, and 2, we started using brush strokes instead of lines, and 3, we stopped representing things that can only be represented in color through lines. So we stopped. We didn't draw the lips the way you had drawn the lips. Only color can do that for us. If you do it in line, it looks very different. Before, what I did was I went into the head, I drew the head, found the neck, found basic structures. You can't draw features where there's no head. I brought down the eyebrows. I erased the bottom lip because you don't need it if he's biting his lower lip. And that way the features read a little bit more. So what we get is an image that reads a little bit more realistically. I know that the lines are a bit too, you might want them to be a little bit darker. So he still has the same expression, he still has the same sort of naivety, but now it's a little bit more subtle and it's a little bit more realistic. You can even bring in a tone for the bottom lip, no problem. As long as you're using grayscale, yeah, you can use gray. As long as you're using a gentle stroke for it and you're not representing it through lines. Okay? So do you see the realism here? And this is something that you can do. This is not just me who can do it. This is not, I'm not exclusive. There's millions of artists out there in the world. And they all understand one thing, that you need realism to create something that is relatable. So try to get more realism in your life. How? By following the way realism works. Realism gives us clues. What comes first, skeleton or the eyes? Obviously the skeleton, so find a skeletal structure on which you can draw the eyes. And then what comes after that? The muscles come after that, so try to organize the piece and find some sort of muscle structure. And see how now you have no space for mistakes because you have the head shape ready for you. You're not guessing your way through like before. You didn't forget to draw the head shape last. If you forget to draw the head shape last, you guess your way through it and then you get into a lot of trouble. And then that's when your image starts to look a little less real and people stop relating to it and you don't get favorites. That's basically the mathematics, DeviantArt mathematics of the issue. I don't know what's going on here. Oh. Okay, and then when you want to place the hair, if the hair is white, start it off with a gray and start where the hairline is and move it naturally. Each hair chunk should be represented through one brush stroke. So this represents about 1,000 hairs. Do you see? Instead of drawing one big chunk of hair like before, one big outline of hair where it looks very unnatural and doesn't look like it's actually following a sort of sort of a fake cartoony look. You don't want cartoony if you're drawing something that's androgynous. Then you're just going to look like you're drawing a very manly girl. A very awkward looking girl instead of a manly looking or girly looking man. So this way, you see how these brushes, I'll give you the brushes in a second. I'll give you the brushes if you download Photoshop. That's my trade, Ellen. Someone show Ellen how to download Photoshop. You know, I'll add you on the group. I'll add you on this. This is the announcement group, so no chatting here. Where are you? Where are you? Are you already on that? No, Tena. Okay. Add, and then on mentoring, if you guys can show her how to get Photoshop, please. Yeah, okay. Did I add her? Add people. What's wrong with me? Add. Okay. Did I add her there? Yes, I did. So could you guys show her on the chat? Girly man. Yeah, I know, Duran. I showed you guys that Indian parody of Thriller. Okay, so look. So if he has, it's okay if he has white hair, you always start off gray. If he has white hair, you don't just brush with white because then you're not going to get anything that reads after. Start off with gray all the time, even if it's a white hair finish. And then just make the hair fall naturally. Make it a little bit more natural. Each chunk of hair should be represented through a brush stroke. Make sure that you have some sort of value changes. Zoom out. When you find yourself too zoomed in, zoom out. That's your safe ground, is when you're zoomed away from your drawing. You're far away from all of the chaos. So do you see how natural the hair falling is? Sort of the direction is a bit more messy, just like hair is in real life. Hair is not chunks. The only way you get chunks of hair like that is if you use way too much hairspray. Okay, and then because his hair is white, or if it is white, I'm not sure if I missed your description of him. I know it's a him, you guys. It's supposed to be. Now that you have a form to work with, now get the white that you want to work with and use it to highlight, because white hair still has shadows, but you can use the white to highlight, and you highlight a little bit more because it's sort of very bright. Okay, sorry it's a bit messy, but and then shrink the brush. This is how hair works. You always shrink the brush lower, smaller and smaller, the less and less hair you draw. And then get your dodge tool, which you don't have in Sai, and run like just a couple brush strokes in the same direction, here and here and here, to show that it's hair shine. He's got nice, healthy looking hair. Okay, and that's it. Now you have something that reads a little bit more to your audience, and you sort of get something that people can relate to. So it's not so much you're at a loss for realism, and you're like, no, this doesn't look like how I wanted it to look, which is a lot of artists experience this, and I feel so sad when they do, because they really want to express the realism of their character so much, but they just don't know how to go about it. Okay, so I'm going to reshape the eye shape. I'm going to give them a more masculine. I'm working through anime at the moment because this is sort of anime originated. I'm going to give it a more anime squint and squareness, because anime characters, when it's a male, they usually give it a square shape, so they push it this way. Where girls, they push it up. I don't know why. And I'm going to sort of push up the eyebrows. And now there's a sort of, but I still want to keep that naive cuteness, so I'm just going to push the eyebrows up just a bit. And give a bit of a smile. Or like a nervous one-sided smile. Okay, at this point, Ellen, you can really do with it what you want. But I'm just going to leave it at this. Even though I would like to work on it more, but for the sake of time. And I'm going to darken the inner parts of the lips here and here. But be careful, if you make the bottom lips colored, it'll look like a woman, because then it'll look like she's wearing lipstick. He's wearing lipstick. But you want that sort of androgynousness. What I recommend for the nose is to enlarge the nose a bit. That way it doesn't look so cute and feminine. Do you see? Before, after. It's got a more masculinity to it. And sharpening out the jawline here. So pay attention to these tiny little details, because I know you're like that, this style where it's sort of androgynous. So pay attention to these little tricks. So first thing is nose enlarged. Second thing is keeping the cheekbones high and sharp. So it looks like some vampiric, immortal god of love. And then be careful not to make it look old though. And then get a little bit of a light color and place it on the outer jaw area. That will make the jaw look a little bit more strong. And I know some of you experience a shock factor when I do the before and afters, but I love before and afters. Sometimes I go on like cosmetic surgery websites and just look at the before and afters, because that's how I sort of practice faces. I see the way a face would change with, you know, the slightest little surgical improvement of the nose. But this is something that I want you guys to get used to. The shock factor, this learning your mistakes, is the only way you'll improve. So, before, the image was too cartoony. The expression could be translated as shock. The image was too, wasn't organized enough. So what you need to do is start approaching it realistically. And how do you do that? By remembering realism. How does realism start? Well, realism works by introducing a skeletal structure first, and then introducing muscular structure, and then fatty structure or mass, and then skin, and then tiny little details, and then hair. That's how you as an artist should start drawing. First thing is the skeleton. Second thing, so the first thing is sort of the shape of the head, second, and the neck and the shoulders and the ears. Second thing is where like general values, where you want to put the features, and making sure that when you highlight, you make sure that there's fat being shown and muscle being shown, and then tiny little details on the face, which I could do here at this point. I can do later. Lashes, little things like that.